Hello, and thanks everyone for joining us today for our webinar on optimizing field service. Wanted to take a moment and present that is AlphaBold Senior Director of Dynamics Consulting, Rob Wenstrand. Rob has over 15 years of CRM experience. He helps people reach their goals with the Dynamics platform. And he's committed to maintaining long-term partnerships. Most of the clients that Rob works with have been working with AlphaBold for 3+ years. My name is Judd Halenza. I've been in the industry for about 15 years, and I enjoy working with clients to help them solve the problems that they have with applicable technology. Today's outline is basically what we're going to be covering on the demo today, the webinar itself. We're going to talk about what IoT is. There's a lot of buzzwords and whatnot in our industry, and IoT kind of falls into that. The truth is, I don't think a lot of people understand what IoT is. So we're going to do just a quick discussion about what IoT is and give you some examples. We're going to talk about the way most of us do business. That is, we do business reactively. We're going to talk about what your business might look like and what your business could look like. So that's our goal today. Let's start with what IoT is. IoT is a solution made up of one or more physical devices that have sensors which can communicate performance data via the web. Pretty simple. Examples can include maybe a pressure sensor on a remote oil pump, temperature and humidity sensors in an air conditioning unit, an accelerometer in an elevator, and presence sensors in a room, like a motion detector. Why should you use IoT, or what can IoT do for you? It can help you monitor sensors, rooms, gives you an idea as to what's going on remotely without having to be there. Specifically, it can help you detect anomalies. What is present, current state, and does it differ from what you expect it to be? Proactive service. If something falls out of a range on one of your sensors, you can go out and service it at your convenience. Utilizing AI, you can take advantage of those sensors to understand when things might be breaking as opposed to when things are broken.
And Jed, before you move on to the next topic, today I think what we're going to be talking about specifically is field service and how IoT can interact with the field service module within Dynamics. And specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about being reactive situations, maybe if you don't have IoT devices, being proactive, and then predictive and proactive. And I think you're about to illustrate what that looks like. So back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Meet John. Or what does IoT, what does doing business reactively look like? Meet John. He's a facilities manager at Abbott Labs. John has an air conditioning unit that failed on one of his buildings. John calls your company to repair the air conditioning unit, but unfortunately, due to high demand, you are unable to send a technician until the following week. John does book the appointment, but calls you back and tells you that he has booked someone else who can come out and fix it sooner. What does reactive business look like? You're waiting for the phone to ring. Business comes in waves. High demand can cause you to lose existing customers due to lack of availability. And during these periods, it is more difficult to acquire new customers to grow your business because your existing resources are reacting to the business that's already coming in. Let's talk about
So,
doing business. Go ahead, Rob.
sure. I was just going to wrap up so we looked at doing business reactively. So now I think we'll look at doing business proactively. I think, Judd, you have a very similar situation, but in this case, we're going to conduct ourselves in a different manner. Go ahead.
This is what your business can look like if you're doing business proactively. Meet Lena. She's a customer service representative for your customer. She calls John, the facilities manager at Abbott Labs. She lets John know that the air conditioning unit has failed on one of his business and asks John if he would like us to send out a repair, send someone out to repair it today or tomorrow, or even possibly at a later date. John schedules for the following week and is a happy customer. Proactively doing business means that you're calling the customer when failures occur prior to it being an issue. You're booking appointments at your convenience when you have the availability on your schedule. And this leads to happier customers. Rob, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I would say that, again, how does it lead to happier customers? It leads to happier customers because you called them before they were even aware it was an issue. Again, we're going to dig into kind of what this looks like here in a moment because we're going to show you a demonstration. But essentially, we're going to be able to take a look at sensor data from our customers' equipment and be able to proactively schedule service when we start to see failures or when we start to see things that are not running as we would expect. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and we'll talk a little bit about sort of the IoT solutions that are built into field service and what that looks like in a scenario where, in this particular case, Lena is going to reach out to our customer and help them resolve the issue. So let me share my screen.
Thank you.
Okay. So Judd, I was talking there for a little bit, but basically we have our sensor here that's going to simulate our data. So okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to simulate some sensor data that's coming in that might be out of spec. So what that means is we're specifically looking for some temperature data that might be for this particular sensor that's it's above 70 degrees. Obviously, this isn't a real life scenario. We probably want to look for something a little bit more important than just the temperature of a thermostat, but this will send this information into our Azure IoT hub, and we'll get that notification directly within our field service application. So now that I've made that sensor data change, I'm going to move over to Dynamics Field Service. And Judd, just because I was having a little bit of technical difficulties, can you still hear me okay? And
yes,
see my screen?
Coming through loud and clear. Thank you.
All right, excellent. So what we see here is we actually have an alert. So I'll go ahead and refresh my screen here. I've set up some temperature data, and I set the temperature to 92 degrees, and we can see here that we have an alert. It's coming from the RCA05 rooftop AC unit for Abbott Laboratories, one of our customers. And as we can see, the temperature reading of 92 exceeded the threshold of 70. So me as Lena, our customer service representative, we want to take a look at this alert and investigate it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is open up our alert and take a look and see what kind of data we can see. And looks like maybe I've got a little bit of, I apologize, connection instability here, but we'll give it 1 second here. And Judd, can you still hear me?
I do. I hear you good, Rob.
Okay, very good.
Maybe refresh, Rob. Oh, there it is. It's coming.
There it goes. Okay, so basically we've pulled up our temperature sensor. We can actually see the device, and this is a customer asset within our system. So those familiar with working with field service, we can keep track of the individual pieces of equipment that our customers have. So as we're servicing those customers, we can collect the information about the device, the model, but we can also hook it up to our field service monitoring, our IoT monitoring pieces. Again, we can read multiple pieces of information if there are multiple sensors on the device. But as you can see, we've got a device summary. We're summarizing the information that we see, we're reading from this particular sensor. And from here, we have a number of things that we can do. The first thing that I can do is I can send a command to this particular device. And there's a couple of things that I've pre-set up for this device, but one of the easy customer service tools available to us within this connected field or connected IoT service is the ability to control those devices, and we can send individual commands. And again, I apologize, Jed. I'm still there. We are perfect. We're going to generate a new command, and from our list of commands, we have the ability to reset the thermostat. We can send a message, basically a notification to the thermostat itself, or we can set some values. And if I set those values, I can actually set the current temperature to a different preset. So as I'm troubleshooting for my customer, I can send it commands. It might be a little early to send it any particular commands without some investigation. So let's investigate it first before we start making changes with the device. All right, so at the very top of my screen, you'll see that I've got a business process flow. We have an alert, and so our next step for the alert is to generate a case. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to generate a new case related to this IoT alert, an incident for those of you using incident tracking. And there we are. And I really apologize. It looks like I'm having some network difficulties this morning. Give me one moment here. Okay, so we've got our case. We can set some details about the case, but really what I want to do is I want to make sure that we have an incident type. In this particular case, I want to diagnose an issue. We know that this is a problem. We know it's Abbott Laboratories. I personally know that the person I want to talk to out there is William Gates. So I'm going to pick Mr. Bill Gates as our contact person. Save and close. This will generate the case for us, the incident, and from there we can create work orders and dispatch the work. All right. Get some speed here. Can you still hear me, Jed?
Yes, hear you good, loud and clear.
Perfect. So this looks like it's working a little faster, which is excellent. So I've got my case. One of the things that I can do here, of course, is I would reach out to the customer. Again, as Lena, I would call our customer. And to do that, I'll go ahead and select a phone call. Notice that it's automatically going to go to William Gates. I'm just going to say that this is a dispatch work call. We'll say that it only took us 15 minutes, and we're going to dispatch that work. So obviously, as a customer service representative, I want to keep track of my interactions with the customers so that we have a history of all that. Now that I have my my phone call activity, we've dispatched the work. So what I need to do now, of course, is from the case, I'm going to generate a work order. So I'm going to send a technician out to diagnose the issue. Again, you'll notice that the primary incident type has followed from the case. So it will automatically create a new case based upon the issue diagnosis. If I wanted to, I could put a summary of the work, and I'll just say the temperature is out of spec. And I'll go ahead and save and close that work order. Looks like I need to set a sales tax code here. There we are. All right, so as we generate this work order, what it's going to do for me is it's going to pre-set up the work order. Because I chose a diagnose incident type, it's going to pre-set up a number of service tasks. And from there, we're going to dispatch the work. And we'll show you from a mobile device how a service technician is able to see those assets and complete out that work. All right, so we have our work order. You'll see that, again, as mentioned, we had discussed some of the basic details about that work order. I'm going to go ahead and swap back over into our regular mobile view, or non-mobile view, my apologies. And we'll take a look at that setup data. So if I click on service tasks here, what you'll see is a list of tasks that the technician will accomplish when they come on site. So they're going to inspect the RTU, the rooftop unit. They're going to repair the issue. They'll clean up, and then they'll get a signature and check out with that particular client. At this point, prior to the technician going on site, what he's going to do is, because we've associated this work order with a particular asset, I can, from this work order itself, send some commands to that asset. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the values, and I'm going to set the temperature to 68 degrees. And we'll send that command. That way, when I come on site, as a technician preparing to go and diagnose an issue, they can send a command ahead of time remotely, and it'll be ready and waiting for them when they arrive. If I come back over here to my simulator, you'll see here in a minute, this will refresh, and the temperature itself will change. We'll come back. It might take a minute or two for it to flow back over. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and schedule the work order. So I'm going to follow my business process flow, move it into the schedule stage of the work order, and let's go ahead and book that work order. I'm going to click on the book button at the top of my screen, which is going to pull open my scheduling window, my schedule board, if you will. Out of the box, the schedule board has a couple of different ways that we can schedule. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to show me a list of available technicians and slots based upon a number of criteria. Of course, we could set up details about the work order type. So if it's a diagnosis issue, we could filter on a set of technicians that had the technical ability to diagnose this issue. In our environment, it looks like we just have one technician. It appears to be myself, and it's showing me a couple of slots. So if I wanted to schedule it for today, it's saying my first available slot's 11:46. So I could pick that. But what I want to do is I want to show you another view. We call it the Gantt chart view. And you can see a visual representation of the day. And what I can do is I can just pick a slot and schedule that. Now notice that it's immediately adding a 24-minute lead time, and that's based upon my current or previous location. So if I had booked an appointment earlier in the day, it's going to calculate the driving or travel distance between the two appointments. Since it's my first appointment from the day, it's calculating the distance from my starting location, which happens to be our office, to the individual customer. So if I schedule this for 12 o'clock, you'll notice that it's automatically going to schedule and expand that appointment out to include our travel time. So it's booked my calendar out for an hour and 54 minutes instead of just an hour and a half. I'll go ahead and click book and exit. As you can see, it's finalizing the booking, and you'll see momentarily that it's going to show me that booking as well as that 24 minutes of travel time. So now that I have booked that appointment, let's go ahead and swap over to our mobile device and as a field technician, and let's go ahead and service that call. Judd, while I am getting that set up, any thoughts on our setup here?
No, and I don't see any questions right now. So while that comes in, if you do have questions, feel free to add them to to the chat. There is the opportunity to post a question if you would like to. No, we don't have any questions at this time though, Rob.
All right, very good. Okay, so what we're seeing now is the mobile device that our technician would see. And they would see their calendar. Of course, we could pull it into agenda view. So what I did is I'll just switch it into sort of the day view. If I click on Wednesday, I'll be able to see what my calendar looks like for that particular day. It's telling me that I have a booking right now. So let's go ahead and drill into that and see what I need to do as a technician. So again, I tapped on that appointment. First thing I'll notice is that my booking status has been scheduled. What I want to do is I'm not currently on site at the client. So what I'll do first is I'll change this from scheduled to traveling. I'll save it. And why that's important is that this system will keep track of the travel time, the time and distance spent traveling from a previous location to the next location, and allow you to charge those out to customers at a different rate if you have a particular agreement that allows you to do so. But obviously, I'm already on site. So again, I could come back and say that I arrived earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and mark this now to in progress to say that I've arrived. So it shows my start time was 11:25. Again, my actual arrival time was also 11:25, but typically those would be different based upon the amount that you travel. I'm going to now move over to the customer tab. This is going to give me all the information about information and specifics about this customer and the things that I need to do for this customer. If I scroll down, I can look at some of the details, but the most important part is I'm going to move down here to my service tasks, and you can see that those are the tasks that were set up in the work order. And the first one, Inspect RTU, has a little icon next to it that tells me that I have a checklist, essentially a little micro survey that I need to fill out as I evaluate this rooftop unit for problems. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and say, okay, telling me that I need to inspect the RTU for normal wear and damage. So I'll visually inspect the RTU and note any damage. No damage. I'll inspect those air filters. I'm going to say that they are slightly used. Belt status, I'm looking at it, I'm saying, okay, belts look serviceable. And I'll inspect for oil and refrigerant leaks. I'm going to say no oil or refrigerant leaks notated. I'll go ahead and mark this as complete. I can do this, or I can simply just hit the save button and check it off. Oops, it's telling me that I've got to fill something out here. There we go. Okay, so I've got that first task completed. I'm going to just do one more task, kind of show you a couple things here. So now I've inspected the RTU, I've determined what the issue is. I'll now go into my repair task. Let's say that while I'm doing my repair, I want to take a look at some details about the asset itself. I'm going to go ahead and click on the service asset task relates to, and click on the asset itself. And from here, I can get all the information that I had available to me within the regular interface. So I can take a look and see the device status, any notes related to it, other work orders that were potentially related to this particular asset. So I can actually see the full service history. Additionally, I can click on command history and see all of the recent commands that we have applied to this. So the rooftop value change that we sent earlier shows that we changed the temperature. And if I wanted to, I could dig into it and see what command was actually sent and if it was successful or not. And you'll notice that some of the commands that I'd sent to this rooftop previously were not successful. So we're able to actually see maybe it lost connection, maybe there's some other issues related to it. But as you can see, we set the values and it shows as being sent. That is the now that we have the detail there. So now we've taken a look at the asset. Again, I could also send some additional commands to it. So again, I'm in the field, I need to send it a command. I don't have physical access to it for whatever reason. From my mobile device, I can send it commands and have it fix those issues. Finally, I'm going to take a quick peek at all my other related tasks. And I know that the rest of these I can complete really quickly. So I've repaired the issue. Normally I put some details, but I've cleaned it up. I'm going to go and check out. But first, I do need to make sure that I have my customer signature. So I'll switch back up here to our notes tab here. I'm going to hand this over to the customer. Tell them, hey, it's fixed. Here's what I hear, the notes that I have, and have them sign off right here on my mobile device. Once it's all said and done, I'll go ahead and close out my work order as complete. What it will do is at this point, I marked it as complete. You'll notice that it's going to record the actual duration. So we had a scheduled duration and an actual duration, and we'll generate an appropriate time entry code for my technician, as well as close out the work order and let us bill the customer. I'm going to switch back to my desktop, show you one final thing, and then I'll hand it back to you, Jed.
Thanks. Rob, I had somebody ask about the questions ask a question about sensors. Can you talk about, are there specific sensors or how that works?
Sure. So AlphaBolt has experience, lots of experience with IoT, and we've actually partnered with some sensor manufacturers. We'd be happy to talk to you about what we can do. But what we've done in the past is we've actually worked with with customers that have old types of equipment and machinery, things that, we have a customer that has equipment that's over 100 years old. And obviously when it was built, nobody had even had the concept of IoT. But what we've done is we have we've added humidity, vibration, temperature, accelerometers, a number of different sensors, attach them to individual machines, usually known machines that have a good baseline. We set a baseline, and then we're able to look for patterns in vibration, humidity, temperature, or a combination thereof. And using Azure IoT, the Azure IoT Hub in coordination with machine learning and AI, are able to predict or generate predictions when we start to see a machine go out of that baseline spec. So that's just an example. So if you're interested in, we can pair you up with some sensor manufacturers, or we can discuss what your needs are and point you in the right direction.
Perfect. Back to you, Rob.
Thanks. Thank you. So the one last thing I wanted to loop back on within the environment is if I go back to my thermostat simulator, and I'll go ahead and just refresh it here. Refresh the whole window. I'll select my device, and if we give it a minute here, we'll see that it'll reconnect, and you'll see that it received that value from the command. We set the temperature to 68, and it's automatically adjusted that temperature to 68 degrees. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen and hand it back to you, Judd. Now we can see it. Perfect.
Perfect.
Again, apologize to the audience today. We're having a few technical glitches, but looks like we're getting through it. So,
let's talk about what proactive and predictive means for you without Rob's technical explanation. This really is the best scenario for your business that is marrying being proactive and predictive at the same time. So let's go back to Lena, our customer service representative. She's going to call John. She lets John know that a boiler unit at one of his buildings has a low pressure warning, which could lead to decreased performance and increased energy usage, which will end up equaling dollars, obviously. John agrees to having a service call for the boiler. Lena asks that while the technician is on site, if John would like to have his other boilers and AC units serviced as well. They schedule a technician to come out and diagnose a repair issue, as well as maintaining the existing equipment in a couple of weeks, as it is not an emergency. Let's talk about why this is the best scenario for your business and what that means for you. I apologize. You're calling the customer prior to a failure occurring. This gives you the latitude to book appointments at your convenience with the benefit of selling additional services. This equals happier customers and more revenue because you've expanded that call and that nature of the call.
Yeah, to really wrap.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, and really to kind of wrap it all up, we talked about being reactive, which is how many businesses operate today. Waiting for a customer to call, dispatching a technician, maybe having some existing service contracts. Then we talked about being proactive. We're looking for failures ahead of time, scheduling the calls. That gives us a little bit more leeway as far as scheduling, as well as increased customer service. So the customers see the value of getting information before things happen. And then to loop it back to the last piece, being both proactive and predictive. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about. With pieces of equipment, we can set performance baselines. And when pieces of equipment start to perform outside of those specific baselines, we can schedule maintenance before any errors even occur. So in our example, we're talking about a boiler, and say the boiler pressure was below the standard, I think it's 1.5 psi or something like that. If it's going below the standard pressures, we know that there's potentially a problem. Now the boiler's still working; they're still getting heat in their system. However, we are being proactive. We're seeing that there's a potential failure coming down the road. It's giving us a lot more leeway, a lot more scheduling leeway, where we can schedule technicians when they have availability, and we're still being proactive to the customer, reaching out ahead of time before they have a failure, before they even notice it. So yeah, just kind of looping it all back together. So I think we've got. Do we have any questions from the group?
Everything that you've shown today is a Microsoft product, Rob?
Everything shown today is a Microsoft product. Yep. And everything is, with the exception of the Azure piece that's collecting all that information, is part of the field service, Dynamics field service licensing model.
Perfect. And this can be part of the Dynamics platform. That is, if somebody is running Dynamics CRM, maybe they're running Dynamics ERP, this can be tied into all of that?
Absolutely. In fact, it shares the same platform of many other Dynamics applications, including Dynamics Sales, customer service. I think you even saw part of field services using the case or the customer service module to track cases and incidents, so ticket tracking. Marketing, so it has a full marketing suite. And many others. Easy integration with finance applications like Finance and Ops and Business Central and other Dynamics products.
What if they're using systems that aren't part of the Dynamics platform? How easy is this to tie into something else? That is, they're using QuickBooks instead of Business Central for their ERP, for their billing, that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Microsoft, it being a Microsoft product, first off, there's a very heavy third-party ecosystem, so there's always that option. But Microsoft provides a number of different ways to integrate data with the platform, either out of the box with no additional costs, using a tool like Power Automate, using an Azure tool like Logic Apps, or simply utilizing its built-in APIs with OData, REST and OData to connect to those other applications.
Rob, I have a question about cost. How is the cost for this? There is obviously a cost for implementation and then cost for licensing, correct?
Yeah, of course. So obviously, I would recommend, if somebody's asking specific about price and cost, that they touch base with us and we can figure out their specific needs. But in general, this would require a field service license, so a license of the field service, which of course you can get the pricing for that. It's available online. But it does require, from the sensor component, subscription to Azure IoT Hub. And there's some ongoing cost there, and unfortunately I can't quote a price for that because it can be variable based upon the number of sensors that you're collecting, the volume of data, and a number of other factors.
Great. Well, let's skip ahead. If this is something that you're interested in, I'm sorry, the technology is great. We have some technology issues on our end, unfortunately, today. But if this is something that you're interested in, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to hear about what your organization's current issues are and talk about maybe ways that we can help you remedy some of those. We not only do what Rob talked about today, which is the field service and IoT, but we do also handle customer service, ERP, which is going to be your accounting / finance side, SharePoint, which is document repository and communication within the organization, reporting. We didn't really go into this, but there's a huge reporting suite that you can take advantage of from Microsoft called Microsoft Power BI that would give you the ability to push data out of the field service app and get some meaningful reporting and report against sales and report against forecasting coming out of your sales application, what the real numbers look like coming out of your ERP, and that could be within that Dynamics platform or outside of that Dynamic platform. Well, in summary, what we really want to do is we want to talk to you and figure out if we can come up with a solution to solve your problems. That's our goal in the end, is that our goal is to understand what your problem is and help you solve it. If you would like to get a hold of us, you can call us at 909-979-1425 or email us at sales@alphabolt.com. We are offering free workshops, so if this is something that you're interested in, you want to talk to Rob, we would be happy to schedule a call with you and he at no charge, where we kind of discuss some of the issues that you're going through, and Rob might have some recommendations as to how to solve this. If you want to learn more about us, please visit our website at alphabolt.com, which will give you a good understanding as to all of the different things that we do and some of the technologies that might be relevant for the problems that you're having now. We're located in Carlsbad, but we have customers all over the country that are taking advantage of the technologies that we showed you today. Rob, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I think you've covered everything, Jed.
Perfect. Well, thank you, everybody. If there are no more questions, I appreciate your time with us today, and that's going to be the end of our webinar. Again, feel free to reach out, call us, email us, or visit us on the web to learn more about us, and we'd be happy to set up that workshop where you could discuss your individual problems with Rob and see if we can help you come up with a technology solution. Alrighty, well, thanks everybody, and have a great day.